Ladies and gentlemen, tennis fans and sports enthusiasts from every single corner of the globe, welcome to what is undeniably one of the most seismic, groundbreaking, and genuinely shocking announcements we have witnessed in the sporting endorsement landscape this entire decade. We are coming to you right now to break down a piece of news that has just sent absolute shockwaves through the tennis community, reverberating from the clay courts of Roland Garros to the hard courts of Flushing Meadows, and echoing loudly all the way to the bustling, passionate streets of Manila. The whole tennis world is shocked today, and I do not use that word lightly. The news has just dropped, officially and irrevocably. Alexandra Eala, the phenomenal left-handed prodigy, the absolute pride of the Philippines, and the current world number 29 on the WTA Tour as of this glorious month of May 2026, has been unveiled as the ultimate, premier global endorser for Babolat, armed with a custom-engineered racket that is explicitly, aggressively, and unapologetically built for the big stage. Now, I know what some of you die-hard tennis aficionados might be screaming at your screens right now. You might be saying, wait a minute, hasn't Alex Eala always wielded a Babolat? Hasn't she been a product of the Rafa Nadal Academy, swinging that iconic frame for years? And to that, I say, yes, absolutely. But what has just transpired today is not your standard run-of-the-mill contract renewal. This is not a simple supply and demand agreement where a brand hands a player a bag of rackets and wishes them good luck. No, my friends, what we're looking at today is a monumental paradigm shift in sports marketing, athlete representation, and the global power dynamics of professional tennis. This is a Tier 1, stratospheric mega deal that elevates the 20-year-old Filipina superstar out of the ranks of mere sponsored athletes and places her firmly upon the Mount Rushmore of Babolat's global empire. We are talking about an elevation to a status previously reserved exclusively for the absolute titans of the sport. We are talking about her name, her brand, and her image standing shoulder to shoulder with the likes of the legendary Rafael Nadal, the sensational Carlos Alcaraz, and historic icons who have defined the very essence of modern tennis. Why is the whole tennis world shocked? Because this level of commitment, the scale of financial and technological backing from a titan like Babolat, is a definitive, undeniable coronation. It is a statement from the oldest company specializing in racket sports that they are betting the house, the farm, and their entire future in the Asian market and beyond on the shoulders of Alexandra Eala. This is a racket built for the big stage, and Babolat is explicitly telling the world that Alex Eala is the undeniable, undisputed future of the WTA Tour. When a company with the pedigree of Babolat, a company that practically invented tennis strings back in 1875, looks at a 20-year-old who is currently ranked 29th in the world and says, "You are our ultimate global ambassador," it sends a terrifying message to the rest of the tour. It means they have seen the internal metrics. It means they have analyzed the rotational velocity of her heavy, left-handed topspin forehand. It means they have looked at the mental fortitude she displayed this year in Miami, in Indian Wells, and on the courts of Rome, and they have concluded that she is not just a contender. She is a future multiple-time Grand Slam champion. The sheer magnitude of this announcement cannot be overstated. We are looking at a convergence of immense talent, unprecedented marketability, and cutting-edge sports technology. This is a story about a young woman who left her home in the Philippines at a tender age to train in Mallorca, Spain, carrying the hopes of over 100 million people on her back. And today, that journey reaches a spectacular new peak. This news is dominating the timelines. It is headlining the sports pages, and it is the only thing anyone in the locker rooms is talking about. The timing is absolutely impeccable. We are right in the thick of the 2026 season. The clay court swing is in full, brutal force. The French Open at Roland Garros is looming large on the horizon, a place where Eala is already scheduled to team up with the brilliant Canadian teen sensation Victoria Mboko for a highly anticipated run in the women's doubles. And right now, right at this pivotal juncture, this Babolat bombshell drops. It is a psychological masterstroke. It arms Alex Eala not just with carbon fiber and natural gut strings, but with the undeniable armor of absolute corporate-backed confidence. So, what does this actually mean? What is the reality behind the massive headlines, the flashy press releases, and the stunning photos of Alex Eala standing triumphantly with her new big-stage weaponry? That is exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're going to go on an incredibly deep, exhaustive, and microscopic dive into every single facet of this unprecedented partnership. We're going to break down the mechanics of her game, the history of the Babolat Empire, the sheer economic gravity of the Philippine and Asian tennis markets, and exactly how this tailored, big-stage racket is going to transform her trajectory on the WTA Tour. Grab a drink, settle in, and get ready, because we are leaving no stone unturned. This is the anatomy of a sporting revolution. This is the story of how Alexandra Eala and Babolat are planning to conquer the tennis universe. Let us transition now into the deep dive of this extraordinary development. To truly understand the gravity of this Babolat endorsement, we have to first understand the absolute phenomenon that is Alexandra Eala. You cannot fully grasp the weight of this racket in her hand without understanding the journey of the hand that holds it. We are talking about a player who, just 2 months ago in March of 2026, achieved a career-high WTA singles ranking of world number 29. Let that sink in for a moment. World number 29. In the hyper-competitive cutthroat, relentlessly punishing world professional women's tennis, a 20-year-old Filipina has cracked the top 30. This makes her not just a great player, but a historic trailblazer. She is the highest-ranked Filipino player in the entire history of the WTA Tour. She is the first Filipino to break into the top 30, the first to secure multiple victories over top 10 players and major champions, and the first to reach a tour-level final in the Open era. This meteoric rise did not happen by accident. It was forged in the fires of immense expectation and grueling hard work. We have to look back at how she was introduced to the sport at the age of 4 by her maternal grandfather, Roberto Maniego. From those early days in the Philippines, attending the Immaculate Conception Academy in San Juan and Colegio, San Agustin and Makati, the raw talent was undeniable. But talent alone does not get you a global, top-tier Babolat signature deal. What gets you that deal is a decision to leave your comfort zone, to cross the world, and to enroll at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor, Spain. This is a crucial piece of the puzzle. The Rafa Nadal Academy is basically the global headquarters of the Babolat philosophy. Rafael Nadal himself is the undisputed king of the Babolat brand, the man who made the Aero Pro Drive, now the Pure Aero, the most feared weapon in the history of clay court tennis. By training there, Eala was not just learning how to hit a tennis ball. She was being steeped in a culture of relentless aggression, heavy topspin, and absolute, unwavering resilience. She was being molded into the perfect modern tennis warrior, and quite frankly, the perfect future face of Babolat. Let us look at her recent performances, because the executives at Babolat certainly did before they drafted this massive new contract. The 2026 season has been an absolute revelation for Alex Eala. We saw her start the year strong, reaching the semifinals at the ASB Classic in Auckland, where she absolutely dismantled players like Croatia's Petra Marcinko in a masterclass of second-round match, winning 6-0, 6-2. She carried that momentum to the Middle East, reaching the quarterfinals at both the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open and the highly prestigious Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. Then came the Sunshine Double in the United States. At the Indian Wells Open, she entered as a seeded player, receiving a first-round bye. She played a phenomenal, grueling thriller against Diana Yastremska, winning 7-5, 4-6, 7-5, showcasing the exact kind of mental toughness that sponsors dream of. Even when she ultimately fell to the dangerous Czech player Linda Noskova in the round of 16, the message was clear. Alex Eala belongs on the biggest stages. But it was her performance in Miami that truly solidified her superstar status. Remember, it was at the Miami Open in 2025 where she first truly announced herself to the wider world, receiving a wild card when she was ranked outside the top 100 and proceeding to defeat a string of major champions, including an unforgettable clash with IGA Swiatek. Returning to Miami in 2026, the pressure was immense. She was no longer the underdog. She was the hunted. And how did she respond? By embracing the brutal mental toll of the sport. In an interview during the 2026 Miami Open, she openly discussed the demanding grind of the tour, acknowledging that the relentless, high-level competition takes a mental toll, but stating that she has learned to lean into that grind. She defeated seasoned veterans like Germany's Laura Siegemund and Poland's Magda Linette. This is a maturity that Babolat is investing in. They are not just sponsoring a great forehand. They are sponsoring a 20-year-old woman who has the psychological composure of a 10-year tour veteran. She even took time to meet with fellow Filipino icon Eric Spoelstra, the legendary coach of the Miami Heat, showing her desire to learn about winning cultures across different sports. This intellectual approach to her career is incredibly rare and infinitely valuable. Now, we must meticulously dissect the other half of this equation, the Babolat brand itself. To say that Babolat is a tennis company is like saying the ocean is a body of water. It technically describes it, but it completely fails to capture the immense depth, power, and historical weight of the entity. Babolat is not just a brand. It is the absolute foundation of modern racket sports. Founded in 1875 in Lyon, France, by Pierre Babolat, this company literally invented tennis strings. They created the first natural gut strings, setting a standard for feel, power, and tension maintenance that, quite frankly, synthetic materials spent the next century trying desperately to emulate. For over 100 years, Babolat was content to be the invisible engine behind the game, providing the strings that won countless Grand Slams for players using other companies' frames. But in 1994, everything changed. Babolat decided to step out of the shadows and become a total tennis company, launching their own line of racket frames. The strategy was brilliant, and the execution was flawless. They introduced the Pure Drive, a racket that completely revolutionized the sport by prioritizing explosive, accessible power. It became the weapon of choice for legends like Carlos Moya, Kim Clijsters, Andy Roddick, and Li Na. And then, they struck gold again with the Aero Pro Drive, a racket engineered with an aerodynamic throat to maximize racket head speed and, consequently, generate absolutely terrifying amounts of topspin. This, of course, became the Excalibur for Rafael Nadal, changing the geometry of tennis forever. Today, their roster is a who's who of tennis royalty. You have the legendary Nadal, the explosive Carlos Alcaraz, Holger Rune, Felix Auger-Aliassime, and on the women's side, Grand Slam champion Sofia Kenin, Leylah Fernandez, and now, standing at the absolute forefront, Alexandra Eala. When Babolat designs a racket that is built for the big stage for a player like Alex Eala, we have to look closely at the engineering. Eala's game is built on a foundation of aggressive baseline play, dictated by her heavy, left-handed forehand. Being a lefty is an incredible tactical advantage in tennis, as it naturally targets the weaker backhand side of right-handed opponents. But to maximize that advantage, you need a racket that can generate intense revolutions per minute on the ball, creating a heavy, kicking shot that pushes the opponent behind the baseline. Eala has historically gravitated towards the pure Aero line, which is perfectly logical given her training lineage at the Nadal Academy. The pure Aero is characterized by its aerodynamic frame, which allows the racket to slice through the air with minimal drag. This increased racket head speed directly translates into massive topspin. However, with this new mega announcement, this racket built for the big stage, we are likely seeing a highly customized, hyper-tuned iteration of Babolat's technology tailored specifically for Eala's evolving physique and tactical needs in 2026. As she has matured, her physicality has developed significantly. Sky Sports lead presenter Gigi Salmon recently noted that Eala hits a big ball. She is no longer just a junior player relying on consistency. She is hitting with tour-level, crushing power. Therefore, this new big-stage racket must strike the absolute perfect equilibrium between the vicious spin of the pure Aero and the raw, unadulterated power of the Pure Drive, perhaps incorporating elements of the Pure Strike to provide the pinpoint control necessary to paint the lines against the likes of Aryna Sabalenka or Elena Rybakina. We're talking about custom weight distribution, tailored swing weights, and a specific string bed density designed to optimize her specific contact point. When she steps onto the clay of court Philippe Chatrier at the French Open, teaming up with Victoria Mboko, or when she lines up a down-the-line forehand winner, she is wielding a piece of highly sophisticated sporting artillery. This is not off-the-rack equipment. This is a bespoke weapon designed for the sole purpose of winning Grand Slam titles. But let us pivot from the court to the boardroom, because the business implications of this Babolat deal are just as staggering as the sporting ones. Why did Babolat decide to go all in, to pull out all the stops, and make this incredibly dramatic, world-shocking announcement right now? The answer lies in the massive, untapped, and incredibly lucrative economics of the Asian tennis market, and more specifically, the absolute cultural phenomenon that Alex Eala has become in the Philippines and across the globe. Tennis has historically been a Eurocentric and American-dominated sport. While legends like Lina and Naomi Osaka have broken massive barriers in Asia, the search for the next transcendent Asian superstar is continuous, high-stakes arms race among the major sporting brands. Alex Eala represents the absolute holy grail for a company like Babolat. She is not just a highly ranked player. She is a national icon. The Philippines is a country with over 115 million people, boasting one of the most engaged, passionate, and digitally active populations on the entire planet. When Alex Eala plays, the entire nation stops to watch. When she posts a photo on social media alongside Novak Djokovic at the Laureus World Sports Awards in Madrid, looking stunning in an elegant Filipiniana dress, it does not just get likes, it breaks the internet. The engagement metrics she commands are off the charts. Recent reports from sports business analysts in early 2026 have explicitly highlighted that Eala is set for an absolute sponsorship windfall. Despite not having won a Grand Slam singles title yet, experts are openly stating that she might already be the most attractive option for sponsors looking to sign up the ultimate tennis influencer. She has the charm, she has the grace, she has the intelligence, and most importantly, she has the undivided attention of a massive demographic. Think about the scene at the Miami Open. Coco Gauff, the brilliant American superstar, actually had to apologize to the crowd for holding up a match because the fans were so incredibly desperate to see Alex Eala take the court. That level of crowd pull, that magnetic charisma, is something you simply cannot teach. You either have it or you do not. Alex Eala has in spades. Babolat knows this. They're looking at the landscape and seeing comparisons being drawn between Eala's current trajectory and the explosive global appeal of Emma Raducanu following her U.S. Open victory. By locking down Eala as a premier, top-tier global face right now, before she potentially wins her first major, Babolat is executing a masterclass in undervalued asset acquisition. They are securing the loyalty of millions of fans in the Philippines, Japan, China, and across the vast Asian market. Every aspiring junior player in Manila, every tennis enthusiast in Tokyo, and every young left-hander looking for a hero now sees Alex Eala holding that specific Babolat racket, built for the big stage. The return on investment for Babolat is going to be astronomical. She already has massive backers like Nike, Globe Telecom, Bank of the Philippine Islands, and locally Juice. But this Babolat deal is different. This is her primary tool of the trade. This is the instrument of her success. By tightly binding the Babolat brand to the Eala brand, they are ensuring that every time she hits a winner, every time she lifts a trophy, and every time she smiles for the cameras, Babolat is front and center. Furthermore, we have to look at how this impacts her immediate competitive landscape. We are currently in May 2026. Eala has recently competed at the Internazionale Biennale d'Italia in Rome. While she had a tough first-round exit in doubles alongside Haley Baptiste, her singles campaign was a testament to her immense growth. She battled her way to the third round on the red clay before falling to phenomenal world number 2, Elena Rybakina. But even in defeat, Eala was defiant, stating on social media, "Rome heard me this time." That is the attitude of a champion in waiting. That is the mentality of a player who knows she is on the absolute precipice of greatness. And now, she heads to Paris, the French Open, Roland Garros, the absolute spiritual home of the Babolat brand. This is where Rafael Nadal built his untouchable legacy. This is where Carlos Alcaraz showcases his magical shot-making. And this is where Alexandra Eala, armed with her new, heavily publicized big stage racket, is poised to make a massive statement. The announcement of her doubles partnership with the 19-year-old Canadian rising star Victoria Mboko is a stroke of genius. These are two of the most exciting teenagers in the world, joining forces. Remember, Eala defeated Mboko in the semifinals of the 2022 U.S. Open Girls Singles on her way to becoming the first Filipino Grand Slam junior champion. Now they are teaming up. Mboko has been on a meteoric rise herself, jumping to a career-high number 9 in singles, while Eala brings her higher doubles ranking and immense tactical experience to the table. The media attention on this duo at Roland Garros is going to be suffocating in the best way possible. And every time the cameras flash, every time the slow-motion replays show the ball being crushed, it will be that Babolat frame delivering the blow, This deal also provides Eala with an incredible psychological buffer. Professional tennis is arguably the loneliest, most mentally taxing sport on earth. When you are out there on the court, there is no one to pass the ball to, no one to hide behind. It is just you, your opponent, and the immense pressure of expectations. By signing this Tier 1 mega deal, Babolat is essentially telling Eala, we believe in you. We are investing in your future, regardless of one bad match or one tough tournament. We are here for the long haul. This kind of financial and institutional security allows a player to swing freely. It removes the existential anxiety of playing for a contract and allows her to focus entirely on the execution of her game plan. She can step onto the court knowing that her equipment is flawlessly tailored to her specifications and that a massive global corporation has placed its absolute faith in her potential. That freedom is terrifying for her opponents. And Alex Eala playing with joy, playing with freedom, and swinging a racket engineered specifically for her massive left-handed game is a prospect that will keep the rest of the top 30 awake at night. We must also consider the technical evolution of the WTA Tour. The women's game in 2026 is faster, heavier, and more physically demanding than at any point in history. The days of winning matches purely through consistent pushing and retrieving are long gone. Players like Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, and Coco Gauff have ushered in an era of explosive athleticism and devastating baseline power. To survive and thrive in this ecosystem, you need a weapon that can neutralize massive pace and redirect it with interest. The Babolat racket build for Eala is designed to do exactly that. The stability of the frame at contact, combined with the aerodynamic properties necessary for vicious racket head speed, allows Eala to take the ball early on the rise, robbing her opponents of time. When Rybakina serve a 120-mile-per-hour bomb, Eala's racket needs to be an absolute rock, absorbing the shock and driving the ball deep into the corners. This is the science of modern tennis equipment, and Babolat, with its vast resources and relentless research and development, has provided Eala with the absolute pinnacle of their technological advancements.